Shalom everyone, we are in Parashat Ki Tisa. Parashat Ki Tisa is extremely important because it is dealing mainly, although there are many stories in the Parasha, but it's dealing mainly with the story of the golden calf, which is one of the major events in the history of humanity, according to what we learned from the Zohar. And let us see how important it is and how deep is the message of this parasha. Okay, so we're going to learn from Parashat Ki Tisa in the Zohar, verse, whoever has Perush HaSulam, from verse 105 till the end, of the parasha. Okay, so 105, Kuf Hey. Tachazi, Ad lachata Adam, הווה סליק וקיים בחוכמה דניהו אילה. ולה הווה מתפרש מעיננה דחיי. כיוון דאסגי תיובתה למינדה, ונחתה לתתה, התמשיכה ותריו. עד התפרש מעיננה דחיי, וידע רע ושבק טוב. ועדה כתיב כי לא אל חפץ רשע, אתה לא יגורך רע. מן דהתמשך ברע, לית לי דיורה עם אילנה דחיי. ועד לה חטאו, הבו שמעין קלה מלילה. והדין חוכמתה אילה, ולה דחלי, כיוון דחטאו אפילו קלה דיתתה, לה הבו יכלין מיקם בי. Okay, so what the Zohar is saying, that come and see. Before this Adam's sin, he was Adam going, ascending and standing in the wisdom of the divine illumination. That's how the Zohar calls it. And he was not separated ever from the tree of life. That was the status of the consciousness of Adam. Okay? Since he extended his yearning to know good and evil and to descend, please notice, is to descend, like that was the definition of what he did, then the dark side was drawn after Adam and Eve, till he was separated from the tree of life, and then he knew the evil, and he left the good. And therefore it says, this is a quote from Psalms 5, that God does not want the evil, okay? And if you connect it to that place, then evil cannot scare you. Which means, whoever is drawn after evil cannot dwell with the tree of life. Again, whoever is drawn after evil cannot dwell together with the tree of life. So, before the sin, Adam and Eve, they had the ability to hear the voices of the above. From Binah. They had the wisdom, the supreme divine wisdom. Okay? However, because of that, they had no fear. Now, the moment they sinned, they could not even bear the voice of the lower Sephirot. Remember, before the sin, Adam and Eve could connect to the voice of the Binah, which is, Binah is very high. After the sin, Adam and Eve descended so low that even the voice of Zeir Anpin and Malchut was too much for them. As it says, "Et kolcha shamati bagan vayira." When Adam says, God is asking Adam, why are you hiding? And Adam says, I heard your voice and I got scared. Okay? So even the voice of Zeir Anpin and Malchut, Adam and Eve could not bear. It was too much for them. The same thing. Now we have to, well, why are we dealing with that? We're dealing with that because after the sin, Adam and Eve fell deep into the klipot, into the negativity of the klipot, the dark side, and all these negative forces. That dissension continued, and it became worse. The flood, Egypt, all of those generations of total black magic and and Sodom and Gomorrah, humanity went down and down and down and down. Now, that stopped when Am Yisrael came out of Egypt and came to Mount Sinai. So before the sin of the golden calf, which is the main event of Parashat Ki Tisa, when they were standing on Mount Sinai, the filth of the snake has been removed from the Israelites. Okay? And that meant the cancellation of the evil inclination from the world. And they removed the evil inclination from themselves, the Israelites. What is called Paska Zuhamatam. Their filth came to its end, to its demise. Okay? So we have Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden, Tree of Life, everything is connected to the Tree of Life, very high, lofty awareness and a state of existence, and then falling into the filth of the snake. That filth basically plagued humanity till Mount Sinai. On Mount Sinai, the filth has been removed from the nation of Israel. Okay? And then they were united with the Tree of Life. נתאחדו בעץ החיים ועלו למעלה מדרגות העליון. And they ascended again above to the upper levels without dissension. אז היו יודעים והיו רואים מראות עליונות דזעיר אנפין. Then they could know means connection, and see means another level, higher level of connection. Know is that, ראייה is חוכמה. Okay? והאירו עיניהם, and their eyes were lit, which means they could see reality as it is, not like us. We see just the lies. 5 senses limitation. והיו שמחים לדעת ולשמוע. So on Mount Sinai, everybody was very happy to know and to hear. אז חגר אותם הקדוש ברוך הוא חגורות של אותיות השם הקדוש. And then God gave them belts of holy letters of the holy name. And that is called the jewel שהוסוד אדים מהר חורב. In the Torah, there is a mentioning of something very weird, okay, that is not so clear what the mentioning is about. Let me just find it for you. In the Torah itself, okay, you can find it in Exodus 33, verse 6. And it says, ויתנצלו בני ישראל את אדים מהר חורב. which means very hard to translate. It says, and the nation and the Israelites removed their jewel that they had from Mount Sinai. Okay, so what does that mean? So, and the answer is the jewel that they had from on the Mount Sinai. What was that jewel? That was jewel made of special letters. Okay, the Onkelos says there were weapons, and we see God gave the Israelites weapons. What is that weapon? And it says in Shmot Rabbah, Li'inatzel mikol pega u'malach mavet. That was a weapon to be saved and rescued from any damage and from the angel of death. As it says in the Parasha, that Moses came down with the tablets, and what was on the tablet, it says there was charut al haluchot, and the sages are saying, don't read charut, read cherut, which means freedom. Freedom on the tablets. What kind of freedom? Freedom from death. Death. The moment you are free from death, that's it. That's the ultimate freedom. What does it mean? Freedom. And here the Ramban, the Nachmanides, is adding that is the holy names of God. And when the nation of Israel did the teshuvah because of the sin of the golden calf, they somehow repented about it. So let's see. So what is the status that we have right now? Let's continue. But there was a jewel, and the jewel was a present, a gift that we received on Mount Sinai. That jewel was basically saving us from death. Now, let me repeat again something I said many, many times. When the Zohar is asking, how come it says that God told Adam, the day you will eat from the tree of knowledge, you will surely die. And we learn Adam lived till 930. What kind of a consequences for a sin of such magnitude? Okay? Everybody would like to sin this way if you know you can live till 930, not 120, 930. Okay? And the Zohar said, yes, Adam lived till 930, but he started to die the moment he sinned. What does it mean? What does it mean to die? Remember the angel of death? Every dissension is death. It has the taste of death, which means I had a nice day. I thought it was a lucky day. Everything went nice and smoothly and so on. And suddenly I got this phone call. And that phone call, like, that some of those phone calls gets you upset, gets you feel like a victim. You feel that you're not lucky anymore as you thought. Just all kinds of stuff that get you out of balance. The moment we get out of balance, that moment, the Zohar says we experience the taste of death. Because every time we descend, there's a taste of death. Because life, tree of life, means it's only getting better. It's only going up the hill. Now, the moment death came, so Adam, he didn't live till 930. He was dying till 930. For 930 years, he was dying. So, and what about us? We, some people die longer and some people die shorter. Some people, they die, they say, oh, they lived a short life. Somebody, God forbid, he died 23 years old. No, he didn't die. He died for 23 years. 23 years of sorrow and pain and disappointments and fear and agony and depression and so on. Oh, he had good moments also. But what happens to all the good moments? They all come to death. You had a nice day, not the whole day. You had a nice hour. You have a happy hour. But what comes after the happy hour? Something gets you out of balance, something gets you upset, something gets you into a bad mood, whatever. Nobody can maintain 24/7 just good mood. Okay? Just to remember that. Now, so the moment we came to Mount Sinai and accepted the Torah, we received freedom from that. We didn't have to be insulted. We didn't have to be disappointed. It was not a necessity anymore. Why? We corrected the sin of Adam. So that means the jewels that the Torah is talking about, the jewels of Mount Sinai, that jewels basically had the power to protect us from the angel of death. Okay. Now, 107. כיוון שחטאו בעגל, the moment they sinned with the golden calf, נעבר מהם כל אלו המדרגות והאורות העליונים. All of these great levels and ascensions and lights have been removed. ונעבר מהם חגורות מזוינות שניתתו מן השם הקדוש העליון. And those belts who acted as weapons against the angel of death have been taken away too. And those belts, they were crowned by the holy divine name. So you see, it's repeating in the Midrashim, in the Zohar, the same concept. That we had weapons against the angel of death. We lost it. והמשיכו עליהם את נחש הרע כבתחילה. And they brought upon themselves the bad snake as it was before the Mount Sinai revelation, and because of that, וגרמו שוב מוות לכל העולם, and they caused death to the whole world. ואחר כך, מה כתוב? וירא אהרון וכל בני ישראל את משה. And what it says, so what did the sin of golden calf do? Not just that it brought the snake and the angel of death back to us for the whole world, because if Moses came down on the 17th of Tammuz and there was no golden calf, there would be any angel of death for anyone, every human being. Everyone will be, the message will come out from Mount Sinai, was supposed to come out from Mount Sinai and spread to the whole of humanity, and it's the end of the angel of death. So, in a way, we are responsible that the angel of death has not been removed forever. Okay? What does it say later on? אחר כך מה כתוב? וירא אהרון וכל בני ישראל את משה, והנה קרן אור פניו ויראו ניגשת אליו. And then it says that Aaron and the whole nation of the children of Israel, they saw Moses and they saw that he was shining, and they were afraid approaching him. Even from the light shining from Moses' face, we were afraid of. Not to speak about the light from Chokhmah. Kufchet, verse 108. בואו וראה, come and see. מה כתוב בתחילה? What does it say in the beginning? וירא ישראל את היד הגדולה. On Mount Sinai, even on the Red Sea, that's on the Red Sea, and Israel saw the great hand, which means שכולם היו רואים אורות העליונים שיהיו במראה מהירה. Everybody, the whole nation, could see the divine lights that were shining from the divine mirror. What does it mean? Prophecy. This is the language to explain prophecy. What does it mean, prophecy? You could see, like in today's language, like you want to see what's going on somewhere else. you open your phone in a certain app that is connected to a camera, and you can see through a live camera what's happening somewhere else. Now, just expand it, that you could also see what's happening in the upper realms. You could also see the future. That means Mara Meira. But you see it, you really see it, color, 3D, you could see it. That's what everybody could see, okay? Because of Mount Sinai revelation. Why is it that we cannot see right now? Because of the sin. Adam, before the sin, he could see without any limitation. He could see through everything, through matter, through time. He could see everything, okay? So the moment you see the whole picture, no scare, no surprises, disappointment and stuff like this, okay? You see that everything is good and everything is going to turn good. However, that reappeared on Mount Sinai, and everybody could see when we're talking about clairvoyance, sight, in a prophetic way of seeing the true dimension of reality. When you see the true dimension of reality, nothing scares you. And the moment they could see that, they could see through Zerapin. And it says again, V'chol ha'am roim et hakolot. And the whole nation, we're talking Parasha Ito, the whole nation can see the voices. On the sea, spreading of the Red Sea, they could see everything also. They saw all the technology of the programming of the universe. And they were not afraid, says the Zohar. Why? The moment you're connected to that power of tree of life, it doesn't scare you because you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to be ashamed of. After they sinned, אחר שחטאו, בני המתווך לא יכולו לראות. They could not even see the face of the intermediate of Moses, not to speak of the origin. מה כתוב? ויראו מגשת אליו, as it says, and they were afraid approaching Moses. Okay, verse 109. בוא וראה, come and see. מה כתוב בהם? What does it say about them? ויתנצלו בני ישראל את אדיה מהבוער. That's a verse we read again from Exodus 33:6. And they removed their jewels that they received over Mount Sinai. Okay? What does that mean? שנעבר מהם הזין שקיבלו בהר סיני כדי שלא ישלוט בהם הנחש הרע. That means that the weapon, the ammunition they received on Har Sinai to fight the snake, the evil snake, they lost it. כיוון שנעבר מהם, since we lost those weapons, מה כתוב? משה ייקח את האוהל ונתן לו מחוץ למחנה הרחק מן המחנה. And Moses took the tent and he replaced the tent outside on the outskirts of the camp, away from the camp. אמר רבי אלעזר, מה נקרא זה והתנצלו? למקרא זה, what's the connection between that verse and the other verse? Okay? Because, as we said, the removal of the jewels was explained in verse 6, chapter 33. Verse 7, ומשה ייקח את האוהל, and Moshe took the tent, ונתן לו מחוץ למחנה, and he replaced it outside the camp. הרחק מן המחנה, far away from the camp. וקרא לו אוהל מועד, and he called it אוהל מועד, a tent of מועד is gathering, מועד is also timing. והיה כל מבקש השם, whoever wanted Hashem, יצא אל אוהל מועד השם מחוץ למחנה. He has to get out of the camp and to go to the tent. Okay? So the Zohar is asking why these two verses are attached to each other. And the answer is, since Moses knew that the Israelites lost their weapons against the dark side, from now on, the evil snake will come to dwell amongst them. If the tabernacle, the temple, will be amongst them, it will become defiled because it will be in the midst of their negativity. So immediately, Moses took the tent out and put it outside the camp, far from the camp. What? Because he saw now the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, the evil snake is going to rule over them. And that was not there before, before the sin of the golden calf. וקרא לו אוהל מועד. And then the Zohar is trying to explain why he called it Oel Moed. While, as I said, simple translation means the tent of gathering. But there's also that's not exactly the meaning. Before it was not the tent of gathering. ומשיב, לא, מתחילה היה אוהל סתם. Before it was just a tent. עתה קרא לו אוהל מועד. Why he called it אוהל מועד? מהו מועד? What is מועד? רבי אלעזר אמר, לטוב. מועד, it's a positive thing. רבי אבא אמר לרע. רבי אבא אמר, no, it's a negative thing. How come? רבי אלעזר אמר לטוב. רבי אלעזר said it was a good thing. Why? What is מועד? One of the names the Torah is calling a holiday is Moed. Moed is a holy day. It's a special, sacred time. Okay? Shu Yom Simcha Shel HaLavana. It's a happiness of the moon. It's a full moon or something like this. Shnitvasva B'Kedusha. It's an additional of holiness. And no blemish is ruling. Here he called the Shekhinah the same, to show that the Shekhinah is removed away from the sinners, from the people, and was not defiled. That's why it called it Ohel Moed. But why? Because what is it when you call a day Moed in the biblical language? It means it's a special day. There's a higher level of holiness in this day. The same thing, Ohel Moed, not the day of Moed, Yom Moed, but Ohel Moed, this tent has a special higher level of holiness. If somebody wants to receive, to connect to that holiness, he has to get out of the camp, go to Ohel Moed, and connect to it. Ask questions, pray, and stuff like this. So what happened? Think about it. Before that, by the way, it reminds with the meaning Ohel Moed and Beit Knesset. It sounds the same thing. Ohel Moed, Moed litvaed, from the word vaad, itvaadut, coming together, gathering. Knesset means also gathering. So you don't put Beit Knesset in the middle of a home, correct? Beit Knesset is a place that is removed from people's dwelling. You don't live in Beit Knesset. You don't sleep in Beit Knesset. You don't, it's not a home. It is removed. When you come to Beit Knesset, you have to behave properly. Okay? So Beit Knesset and Ohel Moed. Why? Because when Am Yisrael were before the sin of the golden calf, everybody was holy, everything was holy. And the holiness was everywhere. But the moment there was the sin of the golden calf, now you had to create a place that is higher spiritually than the others. So there's a place you can ascend to. Ohel Moed, Beit Knesset, Beit Mikdash. It is a special place that is dedicated for ascension, for connection. It's not, and you know what? A lot of people have a problem with the holy place. Why? It intimidates them. They feel used to filth. They feel used to holiness. So they are with all kinds of emotions of what we call again filth or the angel of death, and whatever it's called, the evil inclination. So they don't want the holiness. It's like some people, you offer them the Zohar. No, no, God forbid, it's so holy. No, 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 don't, I can't have Zohar in the house. Why? Deep inside, the person knows it's like it's a very holy book. Whatever I'm doing in my home, it's not holy at all. I don't want to see the, to be in a house and to see the Zohar watching me from the shelves when I'm doing all kinds of terrible stuff that I'm ashamed of. I don't want to be intimidated by something so holy. I hope you understand what I'm saying. That's what happened after the sin of the golden calf. That holiness had to gather, to be gathered in a special, holiness had a place. Oh, that's for the synagogue. You can't have it in a house. Okay? So if you're not, so some people say, if you're not really, really holy, can't have a Zohar in the house. Just again, what about the mezuzah? So get the mezuzah out of the house also. No, the whole thing of having a mezuzah and holy artifacts in the house is to elevate the house to a higher place. Unless you don't want to be. You don't want, no favors. I don't want to be holy. I prefer to swim in my filth the whole day. And if there's a moment I want to feel holy, I will get out of the house and I walk to the synagogue and I experience few special moments of holiness. And when I have enough, I go home and I continue going into my filth. This is what happened because of the golden calf. There is no place for the holiness everywhere. It is limited just for special days, special location. Okay, you have Holy Shabbat, just on Shabbat. So some people, everybody is dressed up nicely, they put a kippah, they do kiddush, okay, holiness, and then 10 minutes later, it's over. Oh, we can go back to whatever. Why? You can't hold onto the holiness too long. You know you want it, but you don't really want to make the effort to maintain that holiness through the whole Shabbat and then through the whole week. But there's a price, because the moment the holiness is going away, who comes instead? The angel of death. So you want to do whatever you want to do, no problem. But remember, when the angel of death becomes your partner, you don't really do whatever you want to do, because you are being plagued with fears, diseases, all kinds of horrible consciousness of that basically make you stupid. But I want to do whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like. I don't want my home to be a holy place. I don't want to have the rules. I don't want to be a holy person. I don't want to go by the rules. I want to, whenever I feel like, I want to do whatever I feel like. I want to be free. 100 years ago, when somebody who was religious became not religious, they call it, we are free. Free, yeah, we are free to do whatever you want. You don't understand. The moment you remove all of these tools, you have a partner called the angel of death. So what it's like, it's like Aurelian. When war is peace and peace is war. Good is evil and evil is good. And being free is basically being a slave to the worst. What is the worst? The angel of death. The moment we are enslaved to the angel of death, that means that we are enslaved to guilt, hate, greed, all of those emotions. They are basically, that's not one emotion, but it is. All of them are offshoots of the angel of death. And all of them enslave us more than anything else. But you want to be free? Here you have the 2 tablets. If you stick to that, you'll be free. However, you can't just do whatever you feel like. Oh, that's not being free. Also, okay, you have to choose what kind of freedom you want. So, in the beginning, it was just a tent. כמו שאמר, אוהל בליצן, בליסה, את ידותיו בנצח. ועתה הוא אוהל מועד. Now it's called the tent of gathering. Because it is only for oil moed, which means only for a certain moed. Also in Hebrew means like a meeting place and a meeting time. You know, where you make a schedule. So it's limited for time and space. בתחילה היה האוהל שהוא מלכות נותנת חיים ארוכים לעולם. In the beginning, that tent was giving endless life for everyone. So the angel of death cannot control them. From now on, after the sin of the golden calf, when we say Uveit Moed Lekol Chai, Veit Moed Lekol Chai, it's a name also for a cemetery, which means that's a rulership of the angel of death. The moment we limit holiness only for a very small, like the holiness knocks on your door and you say you have to make an appointment. And not everywhere, holiness is only for that location. So what is going to take all the space that is left? The angel of death. Now that limited the life for the world. בתחילה לא היה בפגם ואתה נפגמה. In the beginning, it was not blemished. Now it is blemished. בתחילה היה חיבור וזיווג אל הלבנה. In the beginning, there was a union and a connection to the moon, which is מלכות, to the sun, which is the Anpin. And that unity was ongoing, without limitation. עתה הזיווג שלהם מוזמן מזמן לזמן. Now, their union is once in a while. Yeah, you can reach that connection. You pray, and in the middle of the prayer, you reach in Tfilat Amidah to a high place of really uniting with the worlds above. Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Purim. Okay, but it's all limited. All limited. And that's why it was called Ol Moed, which means after the sin of the golden calf, it's like the holiness has been sent to a ghetto. That's your place. Don't get out of it. Don't bother us with your nonsense. And that's a consciousness that most of humanity are plagued by. Why? We don't want to be holy. We don't want to pay the price. And because we are so deep in that, we don't even want to understand what is the reward of connection to holiness all the time means. Kuf Yudbet, 112. Rabbi Shimon היה יושב לילה אחד ועסק בתורה. Rabbi Shimon was sitting one night and he was dealing with the Torah. היו יושבים לפניו רבי יהודה ורבי יצחק ורבי יוסי. There were 3 sitting with him, רבי יהודה, רבי יצחק ורבי יוסי. אמר רבי יהודה, הרי כתוב, ויתנצלו בני ישראל את ידיעה מעם חורב. It is said, again, he quotes that verse again, 33:6, and the Israelites removed their jewels that they received on Mount Sinai. ואמרנו שגרמו מוות עליהם אותו זמן ולילה. And we learned that by removing that jewel, because it was too holy, okay, they brought upon themselves death from that moment and on. ושלט בהם הנחש הרע, and the evil inclination, the evil snake, was ruling them. שכבר הסיר אותו מהם בתחילה, that on Mount Sinai, during the revelation, we removed the angel of death. We got rid of him. Good riddance. Because of that jewel, that we received on Mount Sinai, we removed the angel of death. ושואל ישראל רואים על זה. So, the people of Israel, they deserved, because of joining the sin of the golden calf. Some say it was only the Erev Rav. Yeah, only the Erev Rav. You know what they say. The biggest atrocities are not because of the evil people who do them. It is by the responsibility of the big majority that allows them to do it in their midst. So if you're watching it and you are allowing it to happen without protesting, you are enabling it, and therefore you are responsible for that. So yes, the Israelites did not do the golden calf. Only the Erev Rav. So why the Israelites have to be punished? And the answer is, by not resisting, it's your responsibility that it happened because of you. Because by not protesting, you basically take the responsibility. Share responsibility. Okay, so we understand the Israelites. But during that time, Moses was on Mount Sinai, and Joshua was at the bottom of Mount Sinai waiting for Moses to come. So Joshua was not among the Israelites when the sin happened. So Moses, we learned in Parasha Truma that he never died. Why? Now you understand. He did not participate in the sin of the golden calf, and he did not die. Simply ascended. What about Joshua? He was not on Mount Sinai. He was at the bottom of Mount Sinai, but he was not with the Israelites. He did not know about the sin. He did not participate. How come Joshua died? And the answer is, and he's asking Rabbi Shimon, Joshua who did not, Yoshua שלא חטא בעגל. Joshua who did not participate in the sin of the golden calf. He's asking, אם הוסר ממנו אותו זין העליון דהיינו עדי שקיבל עמהם בהר סיני או לא? Did he lose that weapon, that ammunition against the angel of death? Did Joshua lose that? 113. אם תאמר שלא הוסר ממנו עדי, אם כן למה מת? כי שם בני אדם. You can say, he did not lose that jewel because he was not part of them. So why did Joshua die like every human being dies? הרי בסיבת העדי השיגו חירות ממלאך המוות כנ"ל. Because of the jewel, they had freedom from the angel of death. ואם תאמר שהוסר ממנו העדי, שואל למה הוסר ממנו? הרי לא חטא. But if you're going to say that he lost the jewel, the question is, why did he lose it? He didn't sin. He was with Moses. בשעה שחטאו ישראל, when he had an alibi, he was with Moses. אם תאמר שלא קיבל אותה התרה, but you can say he did not receive that jewel crown diadem. So he said that protection jewel was like a diadem. Like the Israelite did, of course. So why not? 114. פתח רבי שמעון ואמר. Rabbi Shimon opened and said, כי צדיק השם צדקות אהב, ישר יחזו פנינו. This verse is from Psalms 11. Hashem is a tzaddik, righteous. He loves righteousness and charity. And whoever is honest can visualize his face. There, I'm just doing a very, very simplistic translation. But because in that verse, the friends already gave some commentaries to this verse. Aval, however, when it says Ki Tzadik Hashem, Hashem is Tzadik, Ushmo Tzadik, and his name is Tzadik. And this is why he loves tzedakot, charity. Dainu HaMalchut Sheshma Tzedakah, which is Malchut that is called Tzedakah. Okay? Yashar, כפי שאמר צדיק וישר, ועל כן יחזו פנימו, כל בני העולם ויתקנו דרכם ללכת בדרך ישרה כראוי. Okay. When people really connect to Hashem, who is the tzaddik, and they unite Hashem with the Shekhinah, this is called tzedakah. What is the unison? We spoke about it in the previous parasha, Parashat Tetzaveh. We, as high priests, have the ability and the responsibility that every action that we do it in order to unite, to connect the upper world with the physical world, to make everything divine through our behavior, our speaking, our words, our consciousness. This is the only mission we have. You know, getting married and bringing children to the world, it's a very lofty thing. But animals can do that. Can do that too. Are there people who are really, really righteous and don't have children? Yes, they are. Does that take away something out of them? No, God forbid. But having children is a very high, lofty thing. Yes, but that's not, what can I say? It's not a must. A person can reach very high levels through doing a lot of good deeds, and these good deeds are becoming his children. So another person has 10 children, all of them do horrible stuff. You look at them and say, I don't want them to be my children. I disown them. You understand what I'm saying? So the question is, what's left after me? What did I leave a dent in this world? These are my children, the dent that I left. The world is better now than when I was born. That's my job. Some people can do it without having children. Having children is one, it's a method, it's a mean, but it's not an only one. Again, what is the real job? The real job is to connect above and below. This is the great thing. To connect Malchut and Zerapin, to connect the heaven and the earth, to instill holiness in all what is like, well, that's just regular. No, we can sanctify everything that is around us and within us. This is our job, to bring something to sanctity. A stone does not become holy just because it is a stone. It had to be touched by somebody that imbues the holiness into that stone. You can take very, very simple, unwanted stones, gather them together, create a synagogue or a shrine, and pray and meditate and study over there, and it becomes a holy site because of your actions. That stays forever. Okay? That stays forever. The moment we understand that, the moment we bring that awareness to people around, then that's the only chance that people can really finally walk on the proper direction. And the world can really become redeemed of its own pains. But we have to understand that all the pains humanity is experiencing are self-inflicted pains. We can choose not to experience those pains. How? By choosing the tree of life. As it says, Etz Chaim hi lamachzikim ba. The Torah is a tree of life for whoever holds on to it. But what if the person has no spiritual consciousness? For him or for her, following the rules of the Torah, it's a burden, it's a sacrifice, and it's full of guilt and anger and hatred, discrimination and stuff like this. Why? Because it's void. As we said last week, it is void because the moment we don't have the understanding of the consciousness of uniting the two universes together, the one that is revealed to us and the one that is hidden. How do you see hidden? How do you say hidden? Aster. That's the to hide from hiding. Okay? So only when people have that awareness and they fix their ways, they can walk on the honest way properly. בואו, come and see. כשהקדוש ברוך הוא דן העולם, אינו דן אותו אלא לפי רוב בני אדם. When the Creator is judging the world, he is judging the world according to the majority. Okay? So if you have, like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, there were not enough tzaddikim in Sodom. There was a big, overwhelming majority of evil people. The result is that Lot was taken out of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the whole area is being leveled down. Okay? But there was an argument before. And Abram said, what if there are 30? What if there are 25? What if there are 10? And God said, if there are 25 and 10, okay, I won't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But they couldn't find even one. So when the majority of people belong to the levels of consciousness of void and materialism, then of course the world will be judged according to the majority. בואו ראה, come and see. כשחטא אדם בעת שאכל ממנו, גרם לעניין ההוא שהוא המלכות שישרה בו המוות לכל העולם. When Adam sinned with that tree, that he caused that tree that he will be nested only by death forever for the whole world. And then he caused a blemish to separate a wife from her husband. A wife is the Shekhinah, a husband is the Alpin, the heaven. The moment that is being separated, there's no harmony, and then there's a space for the darkness to come in. And that is that death, then death dwells over the whole world. It's his domain. ועמד חטא הזה בלבנה של המלכות עד שעמדו ישראל על הר סיני. So that blemish from the sin of Adam was there till Mount Sinai Revelation. כיוון שעמדו ישראל על הר סיני נעבר הפגם ההוא של הלבנה. When the nation of Israel was standing on Mount Sinai, that blemish is being removed. Okay? That blemish, that is separation and death, that all of them connect to the worship of the tree of knowledge. So we have to understand the sin of the tree of knowledge is connecting to a consciousness in which there is good and evil. Tree of life consciousness is there's only good. Even what looks evil is also good. For example, you look at a fruit that grows on a tree that was developed genetically and later on by all means of agriculture to become the most healthiest tree with the best tasting fruits. However, in the beginning of the life of the fruit on the tree, it is not so tasty, not so good looking. It doesn't have such a great smell. Okay? Is that bad? No, it's not. It's good. It's good. Think about it. If the fruits of the tree will be tasty from the beginning, it will be consumed. The farmer will have to work like crazy, fighting 24/7, all kinds of creatures trying to rob the fruit. Okay? So it's a blessing in disguise because the fruit is not edible. Oh, every person is perfectly complete and happy every day? No. If we do not go through the darkness, there won't be any darkness to turn into light. If we did not have bitterness, there won't be any bitterness to turn into light, okay, to sweet. So there's no tikkun and there's no earning and there's no work. And that's, so the tree of life consciousness is looking at the fruit, which is only, let's say, 3 weeks old on the tree, and saying, oh, it's so small, but this small fruit is going to become an amazing, big, good tasting fruit. Okay? Seeing that, having the patience to see the whole process of the whole evolving process of everything, this is connected to the tree of life. It gives us patience. It removes fear and anxiety away. It removes the angel of death. Okay? That's what the Zohar wants to teach us. וכשידע משה, קט"ז, 116, and when Moses knew that the Israelites sinned, שחטאו ישראל ונעבר מהם אלו העדי הקדושים, that the Israelites sinned and that jewel is being removed from them, אז הוציא אותה לחוץ מן המחנה. Then he took the Shekhinah, the tent of the gatherings, אוהל מועד, outside the camp. כיוון שהיא עומדת להיפגם. Because if it stays there, it's going to be defiled by what's around it. אף על פי שיהושע עמד בעטרת העדי שלו, but Joshua, although he had still his jewel, because he did not participate with the sin of the golden calf, because there was a blemish in Malchut, and it fell back to the blemish that the world owned before the sin. על כן אין האדם יכול להתקיים. Therefore, not one human being can exist forever, because there's always going to be some friction that is going to create that what is called death. And it's an accumulative thing, death. The more angry the person is, the more hateful, the more greedy, the more we allow emotions to take over us, okay? Our life quality goes down, our life force is limited, and when this comes to none, that's when death takes over, okay? So, again, same thing. When Adam sinned with the tree that he ate from, he caused that tree, that death will dwell on that tree for the whole world. And here he just separated between Malchut and Zerapin, that blemish of separation of Zerapin and Malchut was just being removed by the Mount Sinai revelation. So after the Mount Sinai revelation, the power of the tree of life was supposed to shine always without stop. Since כיוון שחטאו ישראל בעגל, חזרה לבנה ונפגמה כמעט תחילה. Since the Israelites sinned with the golden calf, the moon is being blemished as it was before the Mount Sinai revelation. The evil snake came back to hold on to it, and it was defiled. What are we talking about? Reality. Mount Sinai revelation was basically a change of the belief system of a whole nation. When a whole nation as one person changes the belief system that evil does not exist anymore. And if it does, it's only a way to give us an opportunity to improve. When you have that consciousness as a mass psychosis, as a massive amount of 3 million people, you have a different thinking and a different relation with the world. And then even though things are not so well sometimes, say, oh, there must be some good reason for that. So you don't get upset. And that's what's really special about it. So when Moses knew that the Israelites had been sinned and they lost their jewel, he knew that that snake is right now holding on to the moon to blemish it. And whenever the snake is trying to get a hold on the moon is being emptied from its light, so the snake cannot take anything from the light. So the snake cannot take the light away. So after the sin brought the angel of death back to Malchut, to the world the way it was, so no person can live forever except from Moses. Moses was the only one that he was controlling Malchut, sholet על Malchut. שהיה בסוד בעלה של המטרוניתה. He was the husband of the matron. You know, you think matron is Latin, it's Hebrew. Matronita is in Aramaic, the matron, which came into mother, mutter. It's in European languages. Moses was the husband of the matron. He had the power to overcome. That's why he mastered death. Death never took over Moses. Because from now on, Malchut itself, there is a limited time of living for every living thing. Well, Ken, so that about the secret of this thing. Yesh yamin lemala, as we learned before. It's a kind of a summary. The right column is above, and there's a right column below. There's a left column above, and there's left column below. ומפרש, and explains. יש ימין למעלה, דהיינו בקדושה העליונה, יש ימין למטה שהוא בסטרה אחת. There's a right column in the holiness, and down below there's a right column of the evil inclination, in the dark side. There's a left column above, in the holiness, to awaken love, okay, in order to create the union above. And there is the dark side, the left column below, which is not that when it's below, in a physical level, when a person is greedy, left column, that's, you know, everybody said, wow, the guy is greedy, good for him. That's not bringing you balance. ויש שמאל למטה, המפריד את האהבה העליונה, ומפריד אותה את המלכות מלהאיר על ידי השמש מלהתקרב אליו. So there's a left column below that separates the divine love and separates it from Malchut, from shining through the sun and coming close to it. And that is the side of the evil inclination. Because כי כשהשמאל הזה של מטה מתעורר, אז מושך אצלו הלבנה, ומפרידה מלמעלה מזה הפיו, והאורה נחשך, ומתדבקת בנחש, והשואבת מוות למטה לכל אלה שנדבקו בנחש ונתרחקו מעץ החיים. What does that mean? When the left from below is awakened, what is the left from below? Selfishness, judgment. What is from below? We arouse it. Like you have a mountain. Okay, it's in a natural reserve. And you have animals and you have things and you see how the whole nature is in harmony. Okay, then the human being comes in And wherever you come, you bring in judgment. Why? That's what you are. So then you take too much from the forest, and you take too much water, and then everything, and the whole place starts to dwindle. And some animals die, and some emigrate to another place, and some stay, just the not so nice ones. That these animals and plants, they multiply when there's no balance. When there's no balance. Okay? Disturbing the balance is when the left column is activated. Who can activate it? Us. Okay? The left column of below. Because this is the side of the evil snake. Okay? And that moment, it brings darkness to the moon. And then the moon is connected to the snake. And then the moon, which is Malchut, draws, pumps death down to whoever attached to the snake and remove themselves from the tree of life. And therefore, the sin of the golden calf created death to the whole world. And that's how the temple is being defiled till, as we said before. So now we can come out of that filth, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, only if we follow Shabbat, when we follow the rules. All the rules, as we said, all the tools that the Creator gave us, which are called the 613 advices, how to attach yourself to the tree of life. That's what the Torah is about. And therefore, verse 119, יהושע לא מת, אלא בעצה של הנחש הזה שקרב ופגע במשכן. Joshua did not die because of his own actions. He died because the law goes after the majority. The majority, which means the rest of the nation, fell into the sin of the golden calf. The rules of the world is now following that. And Joshua had to die. So Joshua did not die because of his own sins. He died because of the snake. There were 7 people. They did not die because of their own sins. Because they never allowed the angel of death to take over them. But since the majority of the world is still under the influence of the sin, therefore, most people die. Okay? And what does it mean most people die? Most people die. So when you say somebody lived 90 years, no, they did not live for 90 years. They died for 90 years. How do you change it? Why do you have to study that? Because it gives you a bad mood. All of that stuff. As it says, okay, מקודם לכן, זהו סוד שכתוב יהושע בן נון נער, שאף על פי שהוא נער למטה, נער מבחינת המלאך מ"ט שנקרא נער, המקבל אור מן המלכות, לא ימיש מן האור. It says that Joshua did not move from the tent. He became like the tent, says the Zohar. וכמו שנפגם זהול, and since the tent is being defiled, so Joshua is being defiled and blemished too. אף על פי שהיה לו העדי הקדוש מהר סיני, although he had the holy jewel from Mount Sinai. He was the only one that it was not taken away from. כיוון שנפגמה הלבנה, כך הוא ודאי שלא ניצל בלבדו ממנה. אותו הפגם ממש כבר למדנו. However, 120, אשריהם הצדיקים, praiseworthy and happy are the tzaddikim. היודעים סודות התורה, that they know the secrets of the Torah. ומדבקים בתורה, and they attach to the Torah. ומקיימים המקרא שכתוב, and they follow the verse, והגית בו יומם ולילה. And you should be thinking of it day and night. בשבילה יזכו לחיי העולם הבא, and because of it, they will merit the life of the world to come. שכתוב, as it says, כי הוא חייך ואורך ימיך. So there's a mixed message. On one hand, every moment of our lives, we carry the blame of the sin of the golden calf. The world was already in a new place. The world has already been redeemed and achieved freedom from death as it was in the Garden of Eden before the sin of Adam. But Adam did not wait. He needed to wait 6 hours. The Israelites had to wait 6 hours too. So you understand, we had a second round, a second chance. We missed it. However, but there is a hope. What's the hope? The sin of the golden calf brought back the angel of death. But the sin did not take the Torah away. The Torah was left. The Torah survived. So, how do we save ourselves from the sin? How do we save ourselves from the angel of death? When we work on connecting ourselves to the Torah. And when we are focusing on connecting to the Torah, connecting to the light of the Torah, by this we can fight the process of death and we can transform the process of death. How? And that is the big secret. As we go on transforming the desire to receive for the self alone into the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, the more holy we become, and holy means circuitry, right, left, and center. There is something magic that happens when you want, but not just for yourself. You share, but not as a sacrifice. Okay? You are aware simultaneously in the same time of the need to give, and you're aware at the same time that you have a message, a mission to receive God's light. So as long as we are focused on that, we experience life. And our job, after the sin of the golden calf, is to simply expand those moments that are called moed, those moments of divinity, of holiness, of epiphany, those really authentic moments of holiness, if we have them like a minute a day, so we're alive for a minute a day. And if we expand it to 2 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, half an hour, 2 hours, and you just go year by year and you realize that every year passing by, you live longer every day and you die less. Because stuff that used to kill you in the past, you know, people used to say some stuff and that really made you upset and neurotic and psychotic and angry. And today it doesn't do it. It doesn't offend me anymore. I know I'm more death-proof than I was before. Thanks to what? The ability to attach to the tree of life. As it says, Etz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba. The Torah is the tree of life for whoever is holding on to it. So the Torah is not a physical thing. The Torah is a consciousness, ideas, state of mind. The moment we connect to that, okay, so we cannot do it 24/7, but we can do it a while, few minutes a day. The more we busy in studying the Zohar and the Torah and stuff like this, and we can bring it into our everyday life, we expand life on the expense of death. So moments that are not used to connect to the tree of life are basically moments that we lose, that we defile them, we destroy them. So that is the big secret of this parasha, which means this parasha on one hand shows about what a terrible thing happened in the sin of the golden calf. However, on the same time, we can say, okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu and the Creator, they gambled. Can we take a nation of slaves and in a marathon of 49 days, 89 days, 49 days from the Exodus till Mount Sinai Revelation, 40 more days at Moses of Mount Sinai. In 89 days, can we reverse the sin of Adam? Almost. So we did not reverse. But did everything come back to the way it was before the Exodus? The answer is no. The angel of death came back, but he was kind of shaky. Why? We had the Torah. We had the Torah. We now, from that moment on, we have a choice. Before that, we didn't have a choice. You woke up with the angel of death. You lived the whole day with the angel of death. You went to sleep with the angel of death, and you slept with him the whole night, 24/7, 365 a year. We all were subjugated to the angel of death. But after the sin of the golden calf, the option to be free totally from the angel of death was gone. But we had an option, and the option is to choose every moment again to connect to the tree of life. If I made a choice, I redeem myself from the angel of death. And by the way, a very important concept that comes with it, that the Opti Rabbi, he wrote it, what's so special about Purim that we just celebrated? When, there's one thing in Purim, it's very funny and makes people really happy when you see people disguised. And he says, when a person goes out with his regular clothes, it doesn't make everybody happy. Okay, it's regular. When does it make everybody happy? When you go outside and everybody's wearing all kinds of strange stuff. Okay? Just gives you this kind of like, why is it so happy? Because there's a change. There's a change. When a person is usually judgmental and upset and heavy and full of guilt, and then he studied Torah and he realized you don't have to. You don't have to wear those emotions to work and home and business and home and business and so on. And he changed those garments. He chose the Torah and he changed his garments. And now he's wearing garments of happiness, patience, acceptance, love, tolerance, and faith. That makes people happy. Why? Wow, there's a hope. We can change. Look, he changed. I can change too. And even the word change clothes, right? That is what Purim is about. You see the people really change and you get hope because they change. I can change. When everybody's changing, you start to get hope that here we are on the right direction towards removing the angel of death. Why? Every day we have more moments of life and less moments of the angel of death. So we are towards the time of Mashiach. That is the key, the only key. And it starts within. And that is the message of Mount Sinai Revelation. Yes, we did not make it in one shot. So after the sin of the golden calf, we are doing it in installments. Okay? We tried to do it in one shot, didn't make it, but we still have the option that we did not have before. Before the sin of the golden calf, there was no option. Death was the only option. Now we have the Torah, we have the option to connect to the tree of life any time, any moment, any space, because we got the weapons. Now it's called the Torah, the weapons against the angel of death. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Okay, so have a great week and a great time. and we'll see you again.
So much information. Thank you.